have not. I only got to learn of the announcement in the evening. I was at an event for much of yesterday afternoon.
The big announcement.
So I only learned of it in the night. I don't know what the message is. I don't know what the pitch is. But unless there is something truly earth-shattering in the way that this party positions itself and intends to deliver, unless they have a radical change in strategy and approach, I will not be sitting on the edge of my chair for what the Democratic Alliance can do. That's not to say that the players in there don't have the capacity to cause impact of any kind. That's not my position. My view is the questions of today, we have enough political parties for. And I think I will leave it at that.
Okay. That's quite interesting. That's a loaded statement. And it's really very timely for Honorable Katuntu to pick it up from there and
Charles, may I just point out that the Honorable Katuntu is looking finer than me. Yeah. We have already agreed that the shirt he's wearing I am living with. He has called his driver to bring another one.
No, you can go in the vest.
He usually knows how to make his picks, whether it is political party or timing to be in a certain political corner. He makes the best picks, and he has not yet failed on that. So we are also looking forward to what he will pick 2025, 2026, and onward. That is, for me, the thing I know about Honorable Katuntu. But before Honorable Katuntu picks the mic, we have been joined by Honorable Mike Mavike from the new political outfit, the Democratic Alliance. Honorable Mavike, just say hello, wave to the people if you like. Just say hello and say thank you for welcoming me here, and that I apologize for coming late. I was delayed in a jam. First, do that.
No, I will not speak like Honorable Katuntu. I was not delayed in a jam. I'm happy to be here, first of all. Listeners of Capital Gang, how are you? I had a busy day yesterday. So frankly, I will not speak like a politician. I want to be frank. I woke up late.
That is Honorable Mavike.
And therefore, I had to find my way here. And I'm happy to find the Honorable Katuntu, Mr. Chirunda, my sister, Wanyoto, Lydia, who is supposed to be joining the DA soon.
You're starting the fishing from here. When I came in, I asked Robert whether he's the legal counsel for the DA. He said he has just come back from somewhere else. He doesn't know yet what's going on.
But when he gets to know, certainly he will be happy to associate.
No, let me clarify. I do not intend to join any political party. I have not joined any political party in my adulthood. That issue will not change today. Not to the DA, not to any of the parties in Uganda.
Never say never.
No, Honorable, I can tell you. This one I will say never.
Honorable Katuntu, you came in and you listened to your colleagues, and they have put forth a number of ideas. Good for democracy and for pluralism, but Robert makes an interesting comment. Political parties will not solve Uganda's political question. I need you to start from that and then run with it, unless if they have radical strategy changes and all that. Do you think that is?
So political party will not solve Uganda's problem. What will solve Uganda? Because at the end of the day, the country has to be managed politically. It will not be managed technically. It can only be managed politically. And decisions of politics are not technical. So you may think so, but at the end of the day, it is a political class that manage this country. And if we are condemned that since the political class cannot solve the problem, then who will? Is it the army? Is it the civil servants? Is it the politician? Management society is about politics. But having said that, so I hold a different view. They may be having a lot of tribulations now, like they've had in the past, and they must clean up their act. Maybe that is a better way of putting it. Before,
Actually, Honorable, you know that I rarely interrupt. But if I may,
sure.
The point about political parties, my point is not that political parties are unnecessary or that they would not solve the problem. The point is you don't need new parties. Fix the parties that exist today. In Britain, you have the same parties with all their issues, and they find out how to clean up internally, change and grow and grow. If every 5 years Britain had a new party, that list would be endless.
Yes,
So it's a question of ideology.
You are
It's a
right and
question
wrong.
of
You are
order.
right, because I agree with you, ideology.
Yeah.
And many of these political parties are not founded on an ideological basis. They are not. But that is not unique to Uganda. Take, for example, in Kenya, every electoral process, they are political. We call them special purpose vehicles. Every political process. And even the next election, you are going to see crisscrossing around and new formations will come in. So there is nothing called a political party in Kenya. In Kenya, it's purely a special political vehicle, which goes for purposes of that particular election, not actually for 2 elections, but that particular elections. So it's not about Uganda alone. But ours has got another problem, as I see it. One, NRM has had its own share of these tribulations. Defections from the NRM for the last 15 or 16 years, from the time of Dr. Kiza Besigye and so on. So it has had these defections and disagreements. Many senior NRM have disagreed, and some have gone to retirement. Others, like the late Eria Kategaya, let his soul rest in peace, were in and out and in. Then, the NR and the NRM were fused. You had the General Tinyefuzas, you had the Tumukundes, Amamba was right honorable. You see, so you had all those. The advantage the NRM has, though, is that they are in state power. So there is a little bit of leverage. You can do that, but you have other infrastructure that keeps you going. And then you also have a very strong leader who has managed to continue piloting the ship even with this turbulence. The Forum for Democratic Change, when we formed it, we thought it would be the legitimate opposition. We suffered the same. Unfortunately, we never had the leverage the NRM has. And what it is today, I don't want to talk about it, but what it is today is a shadow of its former self. It comes to Uganda People's Congress, the same problem. Mm-hmm. It comes to the Democratic Party, it is even worse. Honorable Mabike is here. You've had several formations of the DPs. Now there's another DP Mao, there's another DP still in Kavule, there's another DP which has gone through Kavule and it has ended up somewhere where it is. So it's going to be that. What I see today is that when the National Unity Platform was formed, it was not about political like mine, except wanting change. And when they came together, all of them were like different background, different manners, ideologically different, career different. So, and somehow something came up, what you people call a wave. And everybody, especially in Uganda, the wave was on. In Busoga, the wave was on. Though in Busoga, it was at a different level. It affected the presidency, but it didn't affect the members of parliament. In Uganda, it affected both. Passing of time was going to be the judge whether it is sustainable. Unfortunately, it isn't. As we've seen, you have a lot of differences now coming in management, in ideological thinking, and so on. So many of them have fallen out. Was it surprising? No. To me, it wasn't, because they could have learned more from the FDC. The problems we had in the FDC. Were they going to be the same problem? Yes. Were the challenges the same? Yes. Were the reaction to disagreement the same? Yes. You know, everything was like you would remove NUP and put FDC, and it would be the same. So now, the group that has disagreed in law, in domestic relations, we call it that you've reached a point of
Irreconcilable differences.
irretrievable breakdown. So they reach that point. What? Irretrievable breakdown. So the Mavikes, honorable. The Pugas, honorable, must find a home. So you must take, you must take a choice. Do you stay in and continue fighting? And the spokesperson of the party said, Mavike infinito. Mavike infinito. Meaning, finished.
He's finished.
Finished. And if you're finished, according to your leader, you're finished. So you must now, because Ono Mavike, Ono Mpuga, many others are politicians. So who is going to determine their political fate? Is it somebody who you say, those are infinite or they are finished? Or you say, okay, I may have disagreed with you and you are the current leader. Now what do? Let us now go and to the people and have our own home, political home. And I've got to congratulate you. This is where you belong. Because the way I see, many of them were originally Democratic Party. So they have some, actually, not only Democratic Party, they were Uganda, what do you call that youth group? UID. They have a little bit of, they have a little bit of a working relationship. They have been together for some time. And I can see many names coming to join them, those who are not in the yesterday's functions. Talking at the risk of sounding to be knowledgeable.
Will Honorable Segona join?
I don't know. But most likely.
He would tell us.
But I don't know. But not most likely. It is possible. Because you see, the background, Kavli has already blacklisted a few. So even if they wanted to go and get cards, they will not get those. You call them cards. I forgot since I left political parties. Party what? Honorable, what do you call them? Those things of yours? Those ones.
No, so, they call it the flag bearer.
The flags.
That's what you're looking for. Yes, the party ticket.
Those things.
Yeah.
So they have. I don't think Kavli was willing to give them, because Kavli is now trying to define itself with one, loyalty to the dear leader, the principle, and if you don't, you seem
I like the title, dear leader.
Oh yeah, dear leader, principle. So if you are not so loyal, you are gone. You are gone. So you either have a choice of staying and continue fighting, and Kavli has got his own of fighting. I don't know whether many of them would like that sort of fight. Because they go on social media and throw everything in the kitchen sink and that sort of thing. So many of them may not be that sort of caliber politician who would want to start throwing kitchen sink against each other. You throw, they throw, you throw, they throw. So the best thing to do is exactly what they did. Find your information. Can you convince many people outside Buganda, for example? Outside what? Buganda, a tall, quite a tall, because even when you look at their background, was the original DP was really. That's why in the last 3 or so generations, many members of parliament, actually not many, 90-something% of DP were Buganda based. DP was strong when I was a young man in Busoga, but since I joined politics, we've never had a DP MP. Not even one. The only place where they have had some DPA representative is actually Acholi. Other than Acholi and Buganda, is there any other place? Ono Mavike?
you remind me of?
Not as of now.
Not. I like it, not as of now. So, their political history relates basically to Uganda. Now, Uganda, you have to compete with the National Unity Platform. Uganda will compete with the Forum, the National Resistance Movement. FDC, we also never had an opportunity to do well in Uganda, actually. We never. We did somehow well in Kampala, but rural Uganda, up country of Uganda, we never at any one time had an MP from rural Uganda. None. I don't remember. Do we have in Uganda? Mm-hmm. Not in Mukono, not in Mitiana, not in Vudu. No. That's Greater Kampala Metropolitan. So now, but DP was beyond the metropolitan. It was also within the country of Uganda. Now, NUP has also gone to country after it had captured the entire Uganda. Will it be possible for the National Unity Platform to have the same momentum it had in the last general election? I have my own doubts. I have my own doubts that that momentum.
Across the country or in Uganda, as you were referring to?
Did it have momentum across the country?
Okay. I just need you to be clear for the sake of my listener.
I thought the youngsters know that the momentum actually for NUP was in Uganda, and as I said earlier, in Busoga at the presidential level. That's where the momentum was, and that's where it ended. In the north, it was literally zero. In the east, the Honorable Nambeshe won more as Honorable Nambeshe, not as National Unity Platform. Because really, Honorable Nambeshe is it's a very solid leader, yes. Extremely solid, very strong, and he has his own politics. Whether at local government level, he was the district chairperson, he had been a member of the National Resistance Movement, and he had won his seat as NRM in the other election. He comes, he disagrees, he goes as the NUP. First time he wins. So it's more about Nambeshe. Very, very strong leader and loved by his people. But
Honorable Abdu, isn't the point, aren't you raising a larger point there, which is...
I always raise a larger point. Tongue and cheek, of course.
Absolutely. But I think you're touching another point there, which is isn't it fair to distinguish between momentum and translating momentum into votes? There is a general issue I find in the minds of many ordinary folk on the street, the assumption that crowds translate into votes. I think the distinction in the NUP wave, as I saw it in the last election, is that everywhere they went, they had a massive, massive crowd across the country. The votes, however, translated into a different result. And I think that's something that any politician should keep in mind. And that now goes to what you're saying about the Honorable Nambeshe. That the Honorable Nambeshe, people who vote for him, don't vote for him because of the vehicle through which he arrives. They vote for him because they believe in the solid person that they believe him to be. And that can be said of yourself in Bugweri, that can be said of a number of other strong politicians who've been on the scene, at least since 2001.
Yeah.
And to be fair, in the changing landscape of Ugandan politics, I think that between 99 and today, the landscape has been changing so dramatically that anyone who is able to hold a seat more than twice.
Outgrow the political party.
Yes.
Precisely.
That's true.
That it doesn't matter the formation. People are voting for you. And there are those who have been there since the CA. You see?
Not very many, though.
The number has been reducing with every election. But the fact that someone can stay on the political scene in Uganda's dynamic, changing times, I think that speaks of something. And so, people forming political parties now need to be alive to why exactly Do people wake up in the morning and go and vote for the Honorable Katuntu in 2001, 2005, 2006, 2011, 2016, 2021? You see, and by the way, in between, he has gone from UPC to Reform Agenda to FDC to, you see,
Now independent.
Self isolation.
to independent. You see,
To no color. To
you see,
To
you
no
see,
colour, no.
No colour.
that is where I come from to say
That's why you see him in
there
this church.
are people in Uganda who say we want to contribute to solving Uganda's political problem, but not in the shabbiness of the political parties.
Good,
You
good,
see,
good.
Can I say one thing? Because you might take
In
it
2
up later.
minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes. I wanted to bring in
Yes,
Honorable
now
Mabike,
let
but-
us look at how many independents were in parliament in 2016, how many independents were in parliament in 2021.
How many are they now? In 2016, they were, I think, 47.
Yeah, now
They are nearly 70 something.
we are now saying
You're many.
more than even the official position. Now, yes, that's the truth. For us independents,
No,
we are more
the
than the official position.
Exactly,
Oh, yes,
and
official,
Charles-
more than no.
Yes,
that makes the point.
that's the point I wanted
Yes.
to agree with you. We see a certain trajectory, the increase of the number of independents. I'm not so sure whether multi-party may not be rendered irrelevant at some point. That you wake up tomorrow and over 50% of the MPs are independents. What would be left of a political party system?
At that point, we go to your. to-
Maybe the two of you especially. I know the
Sorry,
rest
sorry,
here
sorry,
are
sorry.
lawyers, but not so much practicing. But
If the majority are independent,
Yes.
now I
More
wanted
than
to,
50%.
who becomes the leader of opposition?
That's what I wanted to ask.
It's,
That's what I wanted to ask you.
it's something which I grapple with
Because
I see a
politics-
trajectory.
Yeah.
The numbers increasing, and I am quite sure
Independent
that in the
thinking becomes
next
the opposition.
parliament, you are going to have more independents than the official position again.
Abdul, that-
There are even going to be more. So if it goes on as it is, and you end up 50% plus one independence, what would be left of a multi-party dispensation in this country?
You see, that's where I go back to
Good
my original
dilemma to
idea
ask
that
about.
the solution to the political question in Uganda is not these vehicles. The solution is we might see ourselves transitioning through the Kenya route, that you're going to have formations of some kind. Now, formations in the past have not worked. They tried it when the Honorable Mbabazi left the NRM. It collapsed. There had been a...
But
I
there
think-
was one of 96, 97, the inter-party, what did they call it? IPC.
The IPC, IPOD, all those things have not worked.
The late and
all those things are
all
so
late.
now my view is that those people who are on the scene, the Honorable Mabikes, the Honorable Katuntus, must rethink carefully and deeply on how to craft a new formation that can act, that is intended not for political survival but for political what's the word, for the stability of the future. You now must think beyond individuals.
Okay.
You must
gentlemen,
survive first.
Before
I Honorable Katuntu, Honorable Mabike, Honorable Wanyoto know that in politics, it doesn't matter what Robert is discussing in terms of quality of a democracy to
You have to
deliver
survive
service, but that you must survive as a candidate or as the rest are details. And someone said, in any case, the rest are just vehicles to deliver
we
you
take the
to
principle of the aircraft that you first of all secure yourself before you secure your next neighbor, even if it is your child.
even if it is your
On
child.
the flight turbulence.
Oh, Honorable Mabike, you have the best actually fortune in this discussion. You have had the, how do they call it, the helicopter view of all the discussions about, about the Democratic Alliance, political formations, history of our politics also thrown in there, and the political, the special purpose vehicles and all that, examples given by Honorable Lydia, Honorable Katuntu, and Council Chirunda. Why did you decide to, and then of course there have been discussions of your old political outfits as well. NOP has been mentioned, the DP, whatever they are. Why have you
Suvi.
gone, Suvi has been mentioned, and we are going into an interesting time where, you know, shall we have another wave? Shall we have an improvement of the wave, or shall we have a deflation of the wave and a bust and then go individual routes? Why have you set up this new political outfit, Honorable Mabike?
Thank you, Charles. A very interesting discussion here.
I like it, actually.
And I've had, I have listened attentively to Robert and a veteran Katundu. Number one, I found a discussion here, question here, whether political parties' new formations were relevant to the present challenges. And the answer is, of course, obvious. If you don't have political parties, then what else can you have? Political parties are a vehicle to take you through a journey. And I always tell people that our intention is to go to Entebbe. But I've got a BTs. I am driving around Kampala Road. It fails me. If I've got a better option, a cruiser,
You cruise.
I cruise. I leave the BTs and jump onto the cruiser to go to Entebbe. So, political parties are vehicles. They are a means to the end. They are not the end in themselves. That must be clarified. Two, we are now dealing with the aftermath of the collapse of Katuntu's party, FDC. Katuntu's party made many mistakes for those 20 years.
Katuntu know that he has many.
No
You said
FDC. I have singled out specifically FDC because his last address, known address, was
In which he passionately founded.
No,
Yes.
the other one I was born in it.
yes, and
The
that,
DNA,
and
the DNA is red. But the one I bust
yes,
is what Honorable is talking
FDC.
about.
And I know him there. I know what he did. I know how passionate he was, and I think he too is dealing with the aftermath of that collapse. The split in FDC affected.
The Land Cruiser.
Yes, that was it. I think affected the politics of the country. There's no doubt about it. Because you should not forget that this NRM of Lydia Wanyoto is not actually a political party. It is a military come political formation. It was an alliance. It was an alliance of gunmen. You know, Corporal Wanyoto.
She's a corporal.
It was an alliance.
Lance Corporal.
I hope she has bothered to study the history of her party. It was an alliance of gunmen together with the peasants of Luwero. And at the end of the day, when they were approaching Kampala, they also brought in the DP elite group. The Semogeres, the Mulemas, and that group. Of course, it had been an alliance to counter UPC at the time. And the DP sustained that alliance, by the way, for a long time. And ultimately, they formed what they call the NRMO. NRMO did not really transit a lot from the original military political formation. So, NRM itself is an alliance, by the way. And it keeps changing. As I speak today, NRM is now also, actually, has built an even broader governing alliance. A governing alliance of NRM now, PLU, I hear, DP Mao, and I am told a section of UPC. So what is the challenge now? The challenge now is to build a new governing alliance. Many people forget that We are NUP, and we are founders of NUP. When the FDC collapsed, we decided to regroup and reorganize the Democratic Party. And all of you know of the events called the DP reunion. All of you know the works and the formation of the DP bloc. The formation of the DP bloc was a regrouping of all those scattered forces that had actually gone into abeyance or had gone into other things while FDC dominated. So once we regrouped, that gave the formation of a force called People Power. The foundation of People Power was DP, and it is a People Power that finally transformed itself into NUP. So we are NUP. We are the founders of NUP. We have never joined NUP. NUP actually joined us. This is
But can you say you are now out of it with the DA? Because
No.
you must belong to one. Isn't it?
I can tell you that when we actively participated in NUP,
I noticed the dragging of.
our intention was actually to build what Robert has been saying. You know, you rebuild afresh, you build a new focus, you build a new national agenda. You know, you start offering solution to the prevalent challenges now. Now, inside NUP, of course, things did not go as anticipated. First of all, it was an alliance with the wrong group. It was a mistake in the first place that we could agree to sit and allow novices to lead seasoned people, seasoned leaders. You know, to allow hooligans.
That's a very strong statement
Yes.
of political leaders.
But you usually know what's happening on social media. You really just know what's happening in social media. You can't act that. You can't call your vice president a thief. A president of a party, standing anywhere, using a public forum, and you call your vice president a thief. You know that? Then you go to another forum outside Uganda and you call your vice president and members of parliament dogs. This is very serious. So you can't act in such a formation. You know, you had so many leaders, seasoned people, are being allowed to allowing themselves to be led by fellows who are so inexperienced, fellows who have just been doing many other things, and thinking that though you could work with those fellows to set an agenda. Now,
but isn't that, Honorable Mabike, isn't that a big political dilemma for you, even when you go into elections, especially that elections are about the popularity, about winning votes?
Charles,
you need to first get the
Charles,
votes.
it's not even about 2026.
Okay.
First of all, it's about correcting a mistake and getting back on the correct path. One, when we fronted Mr. Chagulanyi at the last election, Buganda accepted. By the way, he did not win because it was a genius. This is work which we had done over time. In the DP block, our strategy was to capture, because formally, since 1996, Besigye and Samogera had been winning West Nile, they had been winning Acholi, they had been winning Lango, they had been winning Busoga. Bugisu, and parts of Teso. They had been winning. The problem we used to have at the time was Buganda and Busoga and the West. So, in the last strategy, we said, no, let's have a formation that can now that we have those other areas, let's have a formation that can focus largely on Buganda and Busoga and parts of Bugisu, so that if you add these three regions on the rest, then you have the number. And you have a way to the numbers that we require to win over the presidency. But when we moved in with that candidate, yes, we did very well in Uganda. We won Uganda. Yes, we did very well in Busoga. For the first time, we won Busoga. But sadly...
No, you only won at presidential level.
Yeah, at presidential level we did.
Yeah.
That was important. That was important. Because had we,
level.
Mr. Katuntu, had we won West Nile, won Acholi, as best he had been doing, had we won Lango, had we taken over Teso, Buganda, and Usoga, that would be game over. That would be game over.
You're right. That's why I'm saying.
Yes. So what happened? What happened? With our strategy and with this candidate, we were only able to consolidate in Uganda and Busoga. But those regions which we had been winning reversed back to NRA. West Nile we were defeated thoroughly in West Nile. We were defeated thoroughly in Acholi, which we had been winning since Semogerere. We were defeated properly in Lango, which we had been winning. We were defeated in Teso. We were defeated in Bugisu. So, after the election, we went back and asked what was the problem. They said it was about your candidate. Actually,
in those areas?
Yes.
You went back.
At one point, we were in Acholi and we had a meeting of elders. We had a meeting of, and they were saying, gentlemen, for us here in these parts, we don't vote musicians.
Huh?
We don't vote musicians. Actually, without Besije, we had to go back to Museveni. He said, you mean you couldn't see any quality in our candidate? I said, no, your candidate is best at music. He cannot lead the nation. Find a better candidate. We shall win you, we shall give you votes again. So brother, this is about correcting a mistake. It was a fundamental mistake. We are lions being led by sheep. And this is not sustainable. Now, what are the challenges today? 3 challenges. 1, transition. 2, reform. 3, reconciliation.
Transition, reform, reconciliation.
Those are the challenges today.
Those are the challenges of Uganda.
Political
today.
challenges today.
Nothing like the demographics, the youth now.
Those are all catered in that.
Okay.
Those are all catered in that. Uganda needs transit from this Museveni formation into a new era. Uganda, the gangs that liberated us in 1986, continue to rule us. We have never transited.
Understood? Talk about reconciliation. What
Yes, I'm coming to that. This is very important. This is very critical. This is very critical. Uganda has never had peaceful transfer of power for 62 years. Everybody who has come in has largely had to swim through pools of blood to get to State House. And we thought that Museveni would be the last. It has not been possible. Actually, even if you talk about economics, you talk about education, you talk about these things happen. You remember, all of you remember that we had a very beautiful country called Libya. In Libya was more or less a paradise. You had free medical attention, you had free education. You could just walk into a showroom and get a car and drive away. If you are a university graduate, you want to marry a beautiful lady like Lydia, you would just go in and even get a free house, marry, get a free house, and even get allowance. But the issue was about the politics, the leadership. The leadership.
Can I just do this, Honorable Michael? I need you to wind up on the issue of reform and reconciliation, and then we move to another topic. But I have to pay my bills as well, because, before I pay those bills, the adverts, I need to say that we are enjoying coffee, breakfast served by Star Cafe on the table here. So keep it, the Capital Gang, 91.3 Capital FM.
not even think about it.
Mom, why are you sweating?
Munange, I'm trying to boil herbs for my ulcers.
No, you don't need to suffer. Jenna Herbals has Jenna Seed, which is composed of well-researched herbs that are required to help you with the ulcers. From the makers of Covidex, here comes an effective anti-ulcer remedy, Jenna Seed. Jenna Seed helps reduce the amount of acid your stomach produces and supports it to heal naturally. Get Jenna Seed from any drug shop or pharmacy near you.
If symptoms persist, please seek medical advice. Hello listeners, once again it's a period of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. We are raising our voices to say no to violence and yes to equality and dignity for all. Together we can achieve a future free from violence and discrimination. This message is brought to you by Days for Girls Uganda in partnership with Days for Girls International.
Next time you fly with a family from Entebbe, why don't you fly better with Emirates? On Emirates, everything's taken care of on when you're traveling with kids. Fussy eater? No problem. They can tuck into tasty meals that are perfect for tiny taste buds. You won't hear a peep of, I'm bored, with over 250 dedicated kids and family channels with free toys like cuddly friends or cool activity packs. You get so much more in Emirates economy. With daily flights, you can now enjoy more convenience and flexibility to over 140 destinations with the Emirates Global Network. Find out more at emirates.com.
The Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM.
Welcome back from that break, the commercial break, and let me restate my panel. We have Honorable Abdu Katuntu, MP Bugweri, we have we have Council Robert Chirunda, not yet MP, doesn't intend to be one, sorry. He's a lecturer and a PhD student. We have Honorable Mabike Mike from the new political formation, the newest party on the block, Democratic Alliance. We have Honorable Lydia Wanyoto Mutende, who is from the yellow corner, the NRM ruling party. We have also been joined by Faith Myra, who is the chairperson of the Young African Leaders Initiative. And I want to give Honorable Mavike just 2 minutes. You raised the issue of the biggest, in your view, the biggest political question in Uganda currently, and you said that there are three in your view, that is need for reform, need for a transition, and need for reconciliation. You had touched on the transition, which we have all understood. I needed that important part on reform, why reform is the biggest question, and the issue of reconciliation. And then I wanted to throw some aspect of the recent census in your discussion, and whether you're thinking about it as well, the demographics.
Which is census?
Okay.
Do you have the results of that census?
Actually, we don't have them yet.
Okay. Let me call it preliminary.
No.
Preliminary findings.
You have to apologize to our listeners.
Honorable Katuntu, you are a lawyer and you deal with policy. The policy in Uganda is that the Bureau of Statistics is the official owner of statistics in the country. So let's respect that. Let's accept for now, preliminary as it is.
Okay.
Youth demographics. 0 to 17 years. 0 to 17 years says they are 50%, 0.5, I think. That, and the 17, the ones of 17 years will be voting. No. Then there is 17, 18 to 35, they are 20%. Put that into your discussion. Robert, I will give you just after.
No, Charles, I think let's be fair to the listeners. And to Honorable Mabike. The question of the census has been hotly contentious.
I think we leave it.
I think it's unfair to ask Honorable Mabike
where do I get
and
those
these
results?
parties to factor in numbers that are unreliable. At least to the extent that UBOS came back and recalled those numbers. They recalled those numbers. There is no official position.
UBOS came back and sat in this studio and gave us the reasons there were challenges with those
No,
numbers. And
Charles,
clarify.
Charles,
Is there a report
Charles,
on the
you're a lawyer.
website of
Charles,
Blue
you're
Box
a
where I
lawyer.
can get those numbers now?
Charles,
Are you sure?
Charles, you're a
Just
lawyer.
do the, and see
Charles,
whether
you're a
those results
lawyer.
are there.
You're a lawyer.
Yes, Robert.
You deal with what we call credible evidence. Would you say, you as Charles Odongo, that those numbers are credible?
I think he
Would you?
Now
So let's be
you are also being unfair to me. But let's be fair
to the Honorable
Charles, you are
Mavike.
eating.
Let's go
Having
back
brought-
to
Was all that part of the 2 minutes?
Having brought Mavike into the question, Honorable Mavike, do this. Touch on the last two, reform and reconciliation. Wind up. If you want to use what I asked, use. If you don't want, drop it.
Yes. Number one, may I clarify that the DA is not a political party.
Okay.
It is a.
Yes.
It is a
Political
It
formation.
is civic. It is a civic platform.
Okay.
As of now,
Okay.
that will ultimately
A civic
transform
platform.
into an electoral alliance, an electoral platform.
Okay.
And we have said very clearly that we shall transform into an electoral platform at a moment when we are sure that the requisite reforms, electoral, administrative reforms, have been effected. We think that this nation needs reforms. We need to reform government. We need to reform the way we conduct our elections. We need to reform public service. We need to reform parliament. We need to reform cabinets. Yes, and we have actually published a concrete proposal to that effect. We also think that this country needs reconciliation. You are talking about these demographics. You are talking about most of these issues. There have been issues between regions, issues between political parties. There have been victims, there have been perpetrators. We need a government-led reconciliation process that will finally resolve some of these long-standing pain and the injuries that people really carry with them. So those issues we have published a document, and we think that they are quite relevant. Now, going back to the DA is a formation. It is a platform. It's a civic platform. It is only a building block of even a bigger governing alliance to come. Don't you think that we are going to end up with just the DA? We may actually, at the end of the day, transform into even a broader, wider, all-encompassing, people-driven, people-centered governing alliance. Abdul Katuntu talked about those electoral alliances, those alliances in Kenya. And yes, they have served the purpose. You know, Uganda is a unique situation. Uganda is not a normal democracy you'll find in Ghana, you'll find in Malawi, you'll find in Botswana, you'll find in Namibia. It is not. Here is a leader who has been around 40 years. The guns that he used to capture power, he has never dropped. He is using the same guns to sustain himself there. And he is, of course, co-opting politicians, co-opting actors, civic actors.
Has it gone into elections?
Into this. Now, elections in Uganda are a mere ritual. Actually, elections have become a ritual every 5 years. If we go into the next election without addressing the challenges of the past election, we will have entered a process whose results we already know. And we in the DA think that there are issues to talk about. We are not going to just sleepwalk into that election without actually resolving some of the issues that presented challenges in the last election. And we are happy that, by the way, the leader of the DA did request for space on the order paper to present well-thought and well-researched proposals on reforms that we need to conduct before the next election. So, in summary of this, one, what are you trying to do? We are trying to correct mistakes. What are you trying to do? We are trying to renew hope. What are you trying to do? We are trying to rebuild quality leadership. What are you trying to do? We are trying to build a movement that can finally address national challenges, not Buganda issues, not Busoga issues, not Bugis issues, but a movement that will get back to the track and look at the nation as a whole and actually drive an agenda that mirrors the aspirations of every Ugandan. We are trying to offer a new vision, a new direction, and we're trying to really present serious vision, not this Katemba. My friend was talking about the numbers. You saw the numbers in Kisoro. How are those numbers done? Now, actually, we want to stop all that now at the end of the day. How are those numbers done? You know, here, somebody moves with 30 costas from Kampala. He goes to Kisenyi. He gets young men. They dress in red. They are put in costas, 900 people already. Because a costa is 35 people. That's 900 people. Then he gets 45 MPs. 45 of his MPs carrying 7 or 8 people per vehicle. Then now, you go to Kisoro, drop this group, they begin marching. And you think this is support. At the end of the day, you get 903 votes. And you made a lot of 10,000. Because, of course, when you see people marching in red, singing, oh man, you think now you have too much support in this region. But actually, when these numbers have been transported to the area. Okay. So that's not the kind of politics that we want to do. We want to do real grassroots politics. When you go in an area, you have genuine support, you've got committees, you've got structures that can actually translate into votes, real votes.
That answers the question. Was it Honorable Katuntu or Honorable Kirunda who said the question of momentum? The numbers, the population in a campaign versus the votes. The Americans say prose versus poetry. So this is what is going on is the poetry. And the prose is the one that is now the vote. Can it come? Now, Robert, before you come in, someone has said, I am happy to have, Charles, I am happy that you have on the gang, to one of the best, one of the best brains on the show, Kanso Chirunda. I am listening in. Please make a comment. I hope that is not one of your students, because students tend not to criticize their lecturers. But we have 5 minutes to wind up with all of you, so use it appropriately and make the last comment on this topic. We have to shift to another topic.
Yes, I'll be really brief. First of all, my deepest gratitude to that listener for your very kind words. It's always humbling to get good feedback from our audience. You know, listening to the Honorable Mabike, there's a bit of sadness in my heart in the way that Ugandan politics shapes up. If I review the discussion so far from where we started, these are the points that crystallize in my mind. Number one, Uganda's political parties have massive problems that they need to fix. Number two, and my argument was that I'm not sure that fixing those political problems requires a new political party. I think it requires a rethinking of strategy and repositioning. Now, we must disagree on that with those who are in the trenches. Perhaps they see things from a viewpoint that I don't, and I respect that. But number two, when I listen to the Mabike and he makes the point about the fallout and the aftermath of the unfortunate collapse of the FPC, the question on my mind is, why don't all the people who would disagree with the NRM rally around fixing the issues that were wrong with this really strong organ called the FDC and get beyond personalities? So I'm going to leave two questions. That's the first one. The second one